One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to One-on-One at Legacy Maker Sports Network. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are here for episode 135 of One-on-One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. With me today, and you already know what y'all gonna say, Darrell. Don't say it. But you already know I'm excited for this one because I got my guy in the building today. I got my guy Felix Trammell in the building. He is the beat reporter for Fox Sports 1340 AM in Hopewell, Virginia. Felix, brother, it is an absolute pleasure to have you with me today, man, so we can talk about your career, man. How's everything going?
Great, man. I appreciate that intro. That's impressive. Like, I got something to stand up to now. I like it. But it's amazing to be here. I appreciate the opportunity, and as always, I love chopping it up with my brothers. So appreciate the invitation. Let's get it started.
You know, it's crazy. Like we've known each other now probably for about like 7 years. And it really doesn't seem like it was about 2017 when it was the first time I had the opportunity to meet you when we were covering the Commanders, or at that time, the other squad. We've seen 3 phases in that time frame that we've known each other. So it's always been an honor, man. We've always gotten along well. We've always talked. We've always had good rapport, and it's always nice to just meet great people in the industry. And it's such a hard thing to find. I know you know that. So I know you know that. But let's go ahead and get this bad boy started, ladies and gentlemen, with the check-in. All right. Felix, we start off every show with the check-in. I want to check in on you, your family, your friends. How's everything right now with Felix?
Everything's good. Life is busy, but busy is a good thing. I think my grandma always said, if you're busy, you're living. If you're not busy, you're dying. So
that's not funny.
Life is busy. So, It may be too busy at certain points, but everything's good. My family's great. Life is great. Job is great. Career is great. You can't ask for too many things at one time, but honestly, I can say I'm blessed to where I'm at in my life with everything that surrounds me, with my family, my friends. So I'm in a good place. So just humbled by the experience, humbled by the chances that have come my way in my life. But I'm sure I'm good. This is a good place. You were talking about how long we've known each other. I usually count it by starting quarterbacks. I think we're on 8 because I think we started with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, and now we're going to be on the athlete named Jaden Daniels, which we already kind of knew. So just count how many quarterbacks has been in between, and that's as long as we've known each other.
I feel like it's at least 12. I or at least that have started at least once. I tried to count that the other day and I forgot, but I think I got up to like 8 or 9, and I was like, I know I'm missing some people.
Right. Opening day alone has been a different one every opening
year. Every year.
It's 2017. So it's not a list to be on.
Was that Kurt? Kurt.
Alex Smith,
Haskins.
What's the boy with the
Case Keenum? Yep, Keenum.
Then
we had oh boy,
it was somebody before Wentz. Oh, what was the boy play a quarter and got hurt with the beard?
Oh, Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick. Yep.
Then Wentz. Then Howell. Yeah.
Yep. So, and now we are here. And that was made official here this week. So hey, with all that fun stuff. Now, with that being said, let's kind of go ahead and get into a little bit about your passion of sports, man. I want to know about 8, 9, 10-year-old Felix sitting at the house. What triggered that passion for sports? What made you fall in love with sports? Who's that athlete? Who's that that person that made you fall in love with sports, my man?
That's a good question. First, at 8, 9, and 10, my mom didn't let me in the house, so it was pouring out raining. So that's going to lend itself to sports by itself. But
that'll help.
I mean, I was drawn in early age. Probably my first click athlete was Darrell Green, and it was followed by Ken Griffey Jr. And those two kind of modeled how I was. Typical kid. I played football, basketball, baseball. I did all those things, and those just lend itself because it was competing. That's what you do. You compete, you have fun, you give it your all, you move forward. So Darrell Green was, of course, that first one because he was just so fast, and he was never the biggest guy, but he always made the biggest impact. So that I was drawn to him. And then Ken Griffey was just amazing. Like Ken Griffey was just it. Like he seemed so nonchalant, but then he was so good. So and smooth. Then if we take it to wrestling, which I know we're both fans of, Shawn Michaels, and that first the performance side of him, then the arrogance side of him, that just became me. And so that's what just grew my love in sports, and I continued in it, and I just kept growing. I just kept going. I just kept playing because, I mean, that was my friend core. That was something to build my confidence up and something to get out the classroom. So those things just built on itself, and then I just full nose dive in.
I love it. Yeah, Shawn Michaels is in my top 2.
Good.
Yeah, The Rock being number 1, Shawn is 2, and it's tough. Yeah, because I'm like The Rock. The Rock is the person that modeled my, like, as a kid. I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. Everything about him,
right.
And it's crazy. We never saw them fight in the ring. They never had a match.
They never had a official match.
Yeah, other than that time that Shawn super kicked the mess out of him. I mean, he laid The Rock down. But yeah, I mean, that's my top 2. So I feel you. And Ken Griffey Jr., see, that's why I know we get along. These are the reasons. Ken Griffey Jr. is the reason why I'm a Mariners fan. This is all the heartache and pain I've had for the last 20, 30 years is because of that amazing man. So we in there.
I understand. I mean, I'm an O's fan, but I remember seeing Ken Griffey in the home run derby at Camden Yards, and it just was like, what am I watching? This is insane.
Crazy work.
I'm a big O's fan. I'm Cal Ripken and this and that. But then I saw that I was an outfielder. 24 was my number from then on out.
It's like this
day I wear 24. Like I don't wear another number but 24. Anyone who knows me.
Yep. See, and that's how my brother was. My brother, he ended up getting drafted by the Marlins back in '94, around that time frame when I became a fan. And he wore 24 because of Ken. I mean, he influenced many.
Right.
To me,
him and Jeff Gordon. I was a huge NASCAR fan, but Jeff Gordon at 2-4, it was like that. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Nothing you could do to stop it. So those were my 24s.
I wasn't a big Jeff Gordon fan because of Dale Earnhardt, but I'm a big senior fan, man. I love Dale. And that was my uncle. My uncle was a big Dale senior fan, and me and him were really, really close. God rest his soul. And I just remember we used to always talk about it. And so I was a big Earnhardt guy. And then when Joe Gordon came along out here starting to dominate, I'm like, nah, brother, nah.
People hated him. Oh my God, it was real hate. But he was the first one to stand up to Earnhardt, and nobody else did.
Nobody liked it. I know I didn't like it.
Like probably 80% of fans hated it, then the other 20 were Jeff Gordon fans. So but that was it.
Gordon reminds me a lot of, and I'll compare the situation before we move to the next one. Gordon always gave me Kobe vibes, and I say that because, everybody loved Jordan,
right?
Everybody loved Dale Sr., but when they came around, it's like you can't compare him to him. You can't compare him to him, and it's like they I won't say similar games, but they did similar great things. Gordon was winning all the time. You're like, yo, you are messing up a lot of good things right now,
right?
And Kobe had that for a while, so yeah. I feel that. Next one, let's kind of talk about your, how college went for you, man. Like how everything went for you through college to kind of guide you into the career that you are in now, and that's on both fronts because we know you're a man of many dreams. So kind of take us through the college dreams, and then get us into that journey of your career and how it shaped the careers that you have now.
I probably have the weirdest journey to where I'm at. But it was a good journey. It was all needed. I, of course, I'm a 3-sport athlete at TC Williams at the time, high school. And, I was going to be a football player that God had other plans. So I was also a very gifted musician. And I guess I still am if I ever play. But I was an all-state musician, and my God's house told me one day, "Is like, what do you want? What do you want to do if you could wake up in the morning and just do it?" And I was like, "I'll teach band." So that's how I kind of ended up at Bethune-Cookman. I got a full ride down there to be in the band, and that was such an amazing experience. Top-level band, being in Florida, just seeing some of the sports down there. Like I got to see Tim Tebow in high school, and that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I went to a Miami Northwestern, Miami Central football game with 60,000 people in the Orange Bowl. That changed my perspective on a lot of things. Like, I'm like, this is why I don't play football anymore. This is a different breed.
Right.
So I got to get that experience. And of course, I went into education, but sports wouldn't go far. And I started coaching while I was doing that. And coaching, I just fell in love with it because I feel like I can impart on youth. And I like coaching baseball. Like, everyone wants to be a football player. I love coaching baseball. And I ended up coaching softball, and that became my main focus. And I coached basketball, and I coached football. And I did about 10, 12 years of teaching band. And I was like, well, maybe I'm at this rut. And the thought came to become an athletic director. And it was like, that's a little different, but I can influence so much in kids' lives. So it just kind of stones just kind of fell. And now I'm the assistant AD at my alma mater, now Alexandria City, former TC Williams. And I just get to impact so much. So it's, I get to, I see the football team, but I also see the field hockey team. I see the volleyball team, and I see these different groups of kids that have these amazing experiences. And that's my job. My job is to give them that experience through sport, because you're so tight with teammates you go through struggles with, you go through battles with, you go through wars with. And all those kids get it, even though they're coming from all across the spectrum, that there's a connection there. And just being able to impart that kind of it was like, this is it. Like, this is a joy. Like, you sit in your math class and do all that algebra stuff, but you come to me, you have fun. We compete,
Right.
We do those things that are going to give you those life lessons, because you may not remember, algebraic equations, but you're going to remember when you're in a tough time, how to get yourself through it, how to pick yourself up. And that's the game of life being taught through sport. So I think that's my job, what I do now, and it's a blessing. So it's just, I get to see these young men and women they do amazing things. Like, I think back on when I was in high school, and the things I thought was hard, they go through different struggles. And we have to understand their struggles. We have to meet them where they are. And I think that's what invigorates me. That's what gets me going, to try to find ways to get these kids to do amazing things that they can do, and trust in themselves. And I think that's the biggest thing. Trusting yourself, believing in yourself. If you fail, you fail. Life happens. But I think that's what got me to where I'm at. So from going from a band teacher, band director to an athletic director, it seems like it's far away from each other, but they're very similar. And you're connecting with students in different ways. So that allowed me, just to reach out, and it's such a good thing. It's such a good thing.
That's awesome. And for those who don't know, obviously you've been a Commanders beat reporter for years now.
Right.
And so what kind of got you into that? Like, how did you gravitate to becoming a Commanders beat reporter? Because there's a lot of people that want to do it. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to get into. How did that happen for you?
Well, it's weird. I was in the Redskin band. Oh, can't say the R word. I was in the R word band.
The R word band.
But
hey, the owner can say it. You can say it.
Right. I was in that organization, and I started approaching games differently. I was a diehard fan and get passionate, go home angry, and all that stuff. But inner workings, and so I actually met up with a couple of friends, and they actually are in the field, and it just became a luck opportunity. And they're like, well, we're looking for somebody to cover the Commanders. And I was like, I'll do it. And it just lent itself to taking that step. And it's so funny because one thing I hate doing is writing. I do not like to write. I'm not a writing person.
Same here, sir.
But, I am not a writing person, but it made me see the game in such a different way. Right. It made me understand the inner workings. And it's hard. Like, this business is hard. And I've seen a lot of people throw their all into it and don't make it, or they just don't get the results they think they should get. It's hard, but I mean, you have to know the game. You have to know the right people, and you have to respect the game. Like you can't have agendas. There's a lot of agenda people. There's a lot of narrative people. You see what you see. You report what you see, and let the chips fall where they may, because it's going to present itself one way or another. And I think that's been my goal the whole time, to present what I see. And if you agree with it, you're good. If you don't, you don't. But it's what I see, it's what I know, it's what I've done, just speaking to the individuals that I know. So that's how I kind of approach it. It's like, I'm not coming here with no egos, but I do treat the players like human beings, because I think that gets left out a lot.
Yeah, it's a big
human beings. And so that is my number one goal. Always treat them with respect and treat the game with respect. And chips fall where they may.
Hey, I feel you 100% on that. I think that's one of the biggest things that for myself, like when we first started up, because you saw so much gotcha media, like, oh, you saw that you did this. Why would you? It was never like learning the player. Because here's the thing, players, if you ask, there's just a little bit of snippet out there for you people. If you ask a player a question that, about the development or something in that range, they're going to want to answer those questions like that. People want to go to that negative stuff on so many fronts, and it's like, hey man, like they'll answer it, but in their mind they're like, man, they got other things they want to say to you,
right? And I mean, it's always a gotcha. Like, you want to ask somebody, why'd you drop that pass? You think the intent was to drop the pass? Like,
yeah, that's not what I wanted to do.
That's not the goal. The goal is not to throw the interception. Why? Like, what's the process? Like, what did you see? What happened? And then, take accountability for it. And then that's when you get those answers. When you get those rigid, strict, scripted answers, is when you get those type questions, because it's so much of a gotcha thing, or one little snippet, tweet it out, boom, and then you're this, instead of actually learning what they're thinking. What's the thought process here? What is the situation versus why did you miss that tackle? Why did you grab that? Why did you grab him on that PI? Why did you do this? Like, they know they did wrong. Everyone knows they did wrong. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing. And there's so much gotcha, but this franchise has so much gotcha there.
Yeah, it's been tough.
It lends itself to what needed to be done.
It was hard for time to tell you, like, I'm trying to be good. I don't want to say anything. And you try, but it was a lot going on for a long period of time. I mean, like I said, it has been a roller coaster ride since I've been covering. I'll be honest with you. I know you've been covering a little bit longer than me, if not long longer than me. But man, it's been a roller coaster ride.
You talk to guys and ladies who cover other teams, and they're just in there like, it's just steady. People cover, it's just steady. People cover Kansas City, it's just steady. Yeah. And you're just turning. So it was a lot there to do that for, but I mean, some people just went off the deep end with it as well. So
yeah,
you got to balance those things, because at the end of the day, they're human beings. Like, they're human beings. It's an entertainment business, but they're still human, and their career, their longevity, their livelihood depends on those plays that you're watching. So
so that's the thing. I mean, I guess we'll see. I feel like this time around, we've said that in the past, but it's gotten off to a good start.
Yes,
that's all I'm going to say, because if you're superstitious, you don't want to jinx it. So it's gotten off to a solid start so far. I refuse to go. I went into last season just let's go. Like, this is it. The changes, the ownership, and I told myself this year, temper my expectations. I'm going to let them work the process and see how it goes from there. But
it worked for you and your favorite team. So
yeah, look, it does. Let's talk a little bit about those Commanders. Last year, unfortunately, 4-13. They were 4-4, and then they went on a 9-game losing streak. They ended up finishing last in the NFC East, 24th in offense, 32nd in defense. And as you see, they got the number 2 pick of the draft, and they end up drafting Jaden Daniels. They still have Scary Terry. They still got a couple of pieces that were a part of those teams. And I think, I kind of just want to know from you, Felix, like, what's your outlook on this team for this season? Like, what do you see what could happen? What do you think will happen? And, just what are your thoughts on this Commanders team in 2024?
I think this team is definitely going in the right direction. I'm thoroughly impressed first with the coaching staff, and I know Dan Quinn wasn't the biggest name, and some people are like, Dan Quinn this and 28-3 and da 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 da. But I think the best thing that Dan Quinn did was assemble an amazing coaching staff, and they have a lot of reign to coach. And I think that's been the best thing I've seen through mini camp and OTAs and training camp. The position coaches coaching. There's so much knowledge base between Ken Norton Jr. and Anthony Lynn and Daryl Tapp and Ryan Kerrigan, and they brought Carter back and got Cliff Kingsbury. You got all these guys who are either top-notch players or veteran coaches who've been around the game 30, 40 years. So there's so much knowledge to impart, and you see Dan Quinn kind of just working it together. So honestly, I feel like they're going in the right direction. I still think there's two big question marks, and one worries me more than the other. I think offensive line is a question mark.
Yes,
but I think Kingsbury can get around that because I think there's more talent there than people see. The defensive secondary, specifically corner, is my biggest concern because this is just a passing league. And Joe Witt, for all his schemes, I think the front seven is great. I think the front seven can cause a lot of havoc, and even the 9 if you include the safeties. But those corners are going to be the real test of how good this team can be. Now, I do expect them to be so much more competitive because last year they weren't competitive. That November, December was bad. Like they weren't competitive. There's one thing to lose because people lose, but it weren't competitive. The defense would just sit there and wait for something to happen, and it usually did. And then all of a sudden, snowball. And then they're down 14, 21 points. And now you got a young quarterback with a kind of, I don't want to say overwhelmed OC, but an OC that was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Trying to score too much and lends itself to bad habits, throwing interceptions, taking sacks, doing all the stuff you didn't need to do because you're always in a hole. So I think this year that will be negated. I feel like they'll be right in that 9-8, 8-9 range, right in that kind of muddled place where a field goal here or interception here could be the difference between the playoffs and not making it. But I do feel like they're trending in the right direction. I think this draft class is really, really good from top to bottom, including free agents. I think that's what's been rare. There's been so many misses with draft that honestly they could nail 5 picks in this draft, and that's not including Luke that was signed as a free agent. They could nail 5 picks, and if they do that, then there's your template, and you get another good set of 5 picks. Now you have something building forward.
It feels like they did you just say, okay, they did a really good. It feels like that. Like if you start naming the people, you're like, okay, I think that person can have a solid year. I agree with you 100%. Ben Sinnott, Coleman is more likely, if not the starter.
He'll be there. If he's healthy, he's there.
He's a starter.
You get him in the 3rd round. You get Sanister in the 2nd round. You get Newton in the 2nd round. Like, you get these type level guys. I mean, there's a lot there, and that's not talking about Luke or talking about Tyler Owens or any of those guys. Like, there's a lot of talent in those picks that they got, and it's not speaking of the quarterback, who I feel has the most poise we've seen in a long time and the most talent. So I think that's where that intersection is. We've had some guys with talent without the poise, and we've had poised guys without the talent, and I think that Jaden actually brings both of those together with dynamic playing ability. And that's something Washington hasn't had in a long time.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's going to be critical for them this year. Obviously, quarterback has been a problem for years, and just finding some solid stability. I'll be honest with you. I felt like, obviously, when Kurt was there was some decentness there. I thought even when Alex Smith even after the injury, he had some moments where, like, okay, if we could get that consistent play from the quarterback position, you're in really good shape. And I got a feeling he has a chance to be that person.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get real hesitant because you just want to see it happen for a while before you be like, oh yeah, this is it. Right. But like I said, my expectations are very tempered for that reason. I think they could be really good. The schedule is kind of favorable.
Right.
where they can win some games and maybe shock a couple people. They've been on Philly's heel the last 2 seasons.
I mean,
You
it's
know,
amazing, ain't it? I mean, they giving Philly 3 out of all 4 games they played in the last 2 years. They've given Philly everything they can handle. They won the Monday night one up in Philly. It was the last possession the year before, and then went to overtime in Philly last year. And then you with one possession here, and you're just like, it's there. Like, that's putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So I think the division will lend itself to be favorable. I think the Giants missed the mark not getting a quarterback. I think that's just going to be their Achilles heel.
Oh my goodness, dang it, Jones!
I can't see the justification unless you just watch when he plays Washington. But I don't get that. And then Dallas is going to have to make a choice out of 3 players, and it's going to be Micah, CD, and Dak. You can only pay in 2 of those 3, so you're going to have to make a choice. And
I think Dak gone, man.
I'm saying, like, if you lose Dak, I mean, for all of Dak's faults, Dak is a reliable quarterback that's getting you 10 to 12 wins a year. Those don't walk down the street, as Washington can attest. So if you're losing one of those 3, and then Philly, they try to get Saquon. They're trying these things, but they've lost a lot of pieces from that, and it's hard to sustain, especially because Philly goes the free agent model. So the division can lend itself. You match favorably with the NFC South. You just got to get to the AFC North, and those games.
The AFC North will be tough.
And they loaded them up at the beginning. That Cincinnati, Baltimore, Cleveland stretch. That's tough.
It's a little rough. It's a little rough.
That's tough.
It's a little rough.
If you can get through that stretch, then you have somewhere to go. I mean, it gets a lot easier if you can get through that stretch.
Man, if they can sneak 2 of those, that'd be great.
I think you that stretch 500 or even a 1 game under.
Yeah,
you got a lot of division games. You got the Carolinas and the Atlantas of the world, and
the Bears.
The
Bears will be a little bit
there, and Arizona. Like, you're getting a lot of those, like, where you're like, okay, like, maybe you have a shot. And
I'd even throw New Orleans in there, because New Orleans, we don't really know what New Orleans team we're going to get, and
especially in December.
In
December.
So it'll be something. Yeah. It'll be something. I'm excited to see what the Commanders will have this season. And we get another chance to run up and down the road, my friend, to kind of see how that will go. Let's go ahead and head to my favorite segment. It is time for Quick One. All right, Felix, are you ready for the Felix Trammell edition of Quick Ones here on 101?
Good, as long as it's not hot ones, because I don't do good with spicy wings.
Oh man, I had to I said, Darrell, you got GERD. I said, oh, it sounds terrible. That's Doc, what is it? He said, you got that GERD, bro. Like, I was like, oh, the GERD, I don't want it. I don't want it. It sounds like it hurt. That's all I know.
Yes, it do.
It hurts a lot, but yes, it does. All right, first one on Quick Ones. Your favorite sports moment. And this could be as a player, it could be as coach, it could be as a fan.
Favorite sports moment. I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. Vince Young, 4th and 5.
Oh, that was great.
That I never went through so many emotions in a 5-hour game in my life than that game right there. That moment was it. Close second was the Delman Young hit in 2014. It was 2014, the playoffs against the Tigers. I was there. I've never heard a place louder. Those two.
That's a good deal. Okay, this is a solid. All right, we go to the negative here. Worst sports moment.
The 2012 Seattle playoff game with RG.
Oh man, were you there for that?
I was there. I was there,
man.
And that was probably 2012 was the best season they had in a long time as far as fans. And you were so excited, 14-0. I mean, down the field on the Legion of Boom, and you just see it going off the cliff, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, that's the worst, man. It's the worst.
And I tell people this every time. The field was so bad, and I remember I was in the band then, that the middle of the field was dirt that they painted green. It was literally sand and dirt that they painted green.
They couldn't get no grass in there, man. Damn, what are we doing, my guy?
That was the most insane thing I've ever seen. I said I played on better fields in high school. Like, this is bad. And so that seeing that moment, I think, did a lot of bad for just a lot of people. It broke a lot of spirits. So that was probably the worst one.
Yeah, and I think it really did change. It changed what could have been a really good direction for the franchise.
Right.
Like I agree with you. I remember watching that season and I saying to myself, like, man, this energy is amazing.
In all the years I was at FedEx, now Commanders Field, the 2012 season was the loudest. That run against Minnesota and that clinching play from against the Cowboys on that Sunday night was the loudest I've ever heard that place. The place was literally jumping.
I'm not.
It was an amazing experience, and I wish it for the fans. Like I wish it for I wish especially the younger fans.
I think that's been my biggest thing. And you know where my allegiance really stands. I mean, I cover the Commanders. If I was a fan, they would probably be my second team, and I'm glad I don't have to go through that stress. So I pray for people like yourself. But as a fan, we've been to stadiums and we've heard how loud a fan base can be, and I don't think I've ever heard that at FedEx coming from or Commanders Field, or formerly known as FedEx.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to say.
It's gonna be until they figure that bad boy out. The place where the Commanders play,
right?
Until I never heard Washington fans get that loud, and it's unfortunate, but it's because it's been through so much
harder.
And it would be nice to kind of see that. And then the only time it's ever really been loud in there, unless you got Dallas fans coming in there or Eagles, I want to see that franchise or this franchise really get a chance to enjoy the fruits of their team's labor. That's what I want. I want to be able to say I'm experiencing that, and unfortunately, not yet. Right. In the 7 years I've covered, 8 years, I guess, covering the team, and I really want to see that just once.
Absolutely.
Just once. Next one, and I think we kind of answered it earlier, but your favorite athlete of all time?
It's going to be tight. Michael Jordan. I'd have to go Michael Jordan over Ken Griffey, but it's tight.
It's a tough one.
MJ was just that guy. Like, you were afraid of him. Like, you just knew what was happening. There was nothing you could do to stop it. It was just nothing you could do to stop it.
Yeah, that's a good one. You can't go wrong with MJ. I'll tell you who's got the lead on here. Whenever I ask that question, Deion Sanders has probably got 6 or 7. I've had 6, 7 of my guests in season 5, or since we started that have picked Deion. Deion.
I get it. I was scared of Deion. I remember seeing Deion in '91 at RFK. Whew.
Scary. Scary.
I'm so glad Washington was so good by then, but he was. Whew, he was different.
Yeah. Deion was different. All right, the last 2 that we have on quick ones, I call them the fun ones. First fun one, worst food you've ever had?
Oh.
It could be a food item as well if you want to go that route.
Oh, I think it's a drink. What's the darn drink they make you do at the Coca-Cola World of Coke? It's like
the Beverly?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Disney World?
No, the World of Coke. You can taste all the Cokes from around the world, and it's some flavor they give you, like they like it in like Italy or something. Man, it's just the most disgusting I've ever heard.
Sounds like the Beverly.
It might be the Beverly, and I just remember just going in and we were tasting stuff, and they were like, "Taste this one." And I'm like, "My God, it's like drinking battery acid."
It was horrible.
It was like drinking battery acid.
So the only reason why I said I think it's the Beverly. Went to Disney World back in 2004, and we went. It was on a class trip. I was chaperoning and doing some stuff like that. And then we went to a spot that said taste of sodas from around the world. And we pulled up on this one bad boy. And they was like, try this one. Saying they did you. They said, try this one. I said, oh, the Beverly. What's this? Man, took a sip of that. I said, what is this? Man, I've never spit something out so fast in my life. I said, what is this, man?
It might have been. I think it's called the Beverly. But that it was like drinking battery acid. I was like, wow.
I believe it. It has to be the Beverly. As soon as you said that, I said, oh, it's the Beverly. It's got to be the worst one I've ever had. Nothing has compared to it.
Absolutely.
Nothing has compared to it. All right, last one on quick ones. You're producing a movie about your life. You can name 3 celebrities to be in the movie, right? But you can also name a person to play yourself, a celebrity. Who plays you, and who are the other 3 celebrities in your movie?
That's a good one. I always I look like Ice Cube or Kanye. But the way those 2 have trended, they're out the picture.
Got to go with Cube.
But it would be Cube over Kanye. But Denzel, just because I think he would get my like joking, arrogant, cocky side because Denzel doesn't do any roles wrong. He doesn't.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Denzel.
Yeah,
I
don't think Will Smith can play me anymore. Even though I got the years for it. I don't know. I think Viola Davis would play my mother.
Okay, good choice. That's a good choice.
And I don't know for the third one. That's a good question. I have to think on that.
I answer this carefully. If somebody's playing your wife, who you choose to play your wife? I ain't trying to get you in trouble, but you can plead the fifth if you need to, and I will completely understand. I was trying to help you out here.
No, I don't plead the fifth on that. No.
It's a setup.
It's set up.
It's like, so you think I look like her?
Right.
Are you dreaming about her? No, baby, it was a question. I'm just trying to answer.
Right. I'm trying to answer the question on the show.
Please, Mr. Trevor, please don't beat me over this. I'm not trying to get him hindered. It's my fault, not his. I asked the question. Yeah.
Right. Right. Nah, I can't do it, dude.
They can't do it.
Set up. Yeah.
I understand completely. All right, everybody, that is it for quick ones. And now we're going to finish this bad boy up with Leave Your Legacy. All right, man. Well, before we get to those last two, Felix, we want to thank you, brother, for coming on and joining us, kind of us giving some insight into your life, your career, your family, your friends, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate that, man. Thanks for coming on for that.
Hey, no problem, man. It was an honor. Sometimes you never reflect on the things that you do, and I appreciate that. That puts some perspective. Sometimes when you're a little like this is doing too much, then you step back and say that okay, I'm not doing too much, and then you can push forward. Yeah, I'm not doing half bad. So I do appreciate the opportunity. Just to speak on some things. I'm very different. Like a lot of the people, cover, they were mass comm majors and, all those sort of things. And like I said, I approached it from a different perspective, a different route. But I think it's a journey well versed, and I think I have an impact to leave and just sharing the sports perspective from a sports guy. Like,
right.
I'm not the arrogant analyst on ESPN is, calling verbiage, even though I know the verbiage, but it's just talking to people who they are. I think that's me. And I think that's my approach to anything that I do. Like in my other career, my legacy is just, everyone knows TC Williams. I want everyone to know Alexandria City, and I want the kids to have the same love and pride as a Titan, because when we call ourselves Titans, Titan alums, we always mention it. We always are big and bad. We want those kids now to continue that legacy. That's my job. And if that's winning 25 state titles, that's winning 25 state titles. But to impart that same passion and love and respect that we have for that institution, that's my goal there, regardless of win, lose, or draw. Because we're going to win, we're going to lose, we're going to draw. That's part of life.
It's a good deal, brother. It's a good deal. Next, do you have any special projects going on right now that we need to know about? Anything that you got going on that you kind of want to let everybody know about? And, of course, let everybody know where they can find you, because that's super important as well, sir. Because he's blessed people.
Yeah, that's my handle, D Commander, Blessed Commander. Because sometimes you got to remind yourself what you are. But doing a lot of writing. I had a podcast that we did, the Washington Rap. We're bringing that back. Some of the hosts had family things, as in they had newborn babies. And for anybody who has a newborn baby, that is your life.
Oh, boy.
So, now that, kids are older, we'll be definitely bringing that back next month. That was always fun to do. It's a 10-minute podcast. Just hit it on, move on. That's something on a quick drive to work or something to listen to. So be sure to look out for that as well. But you can find any of my work on 1340 AM Fox Sports on the website. Definitely find me on X. I'm always on there. If I'm fanning over my team, if you don't know what Manchester City is, just deal with it. It's okay. It's a culture you should join.
It's a culture you should join.
Yeah. Culture, not cult.
Embrace it.
But any Commander stuff, I love the dialogue. I love to chop it up with anyone. You see something I didn't see, we good. Like we talk. I'm not the absolute truth of anything. I'm just an arbiter. There we go.
I'm just in there. I'm just in there. Look, with that being said, next week, we're almost, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of season 5, the interview portion of season 5. And next week, I got my man Chris Powell, host of Couch Coach Live podcast, another man who knows his Commanders football. And so we'll have a chance to get his ideas and what his thoughts are coming into the season, but also get to talk about his life, career, and all that fun stuff. And I'm excited for that next week. I think that's going to be a really, really fun episode where we get a chance to kind of talk about everything that he's got going on right now. This man is growing. We've seen him out there doing great things in NASCAR, and just, he's hungry. And I love seeing people that are out there grinding and quite like himself. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in for episode 135 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, Aaron on the amazing Bowie TV. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. That's Felix Trammell. Make sure y'all go check my man out. Make sure you go follow him on all the pages. Go and sit there and embrace all the greatness that is there. Make sure that you do those things, and y'all make sure y'all check us out on Sundays and all the after Sundays and what we got to show y'all when it comes to the Commanders. I'm Darrell Owens. That's my man Felix. We will see you all next time. One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.